Why do we need to talk about the letter Y? What's the fuzz about it? In episode 11, I taught you how to pronounce the letter U, which is pronounced like U in Norwegian. U. And if you haven't listened to that episode and you struggle a little bit with that sound, I suggest you go back to that episode, listen to that carefully, and master the letter U first. And then you can come back to why. Why? E. The big question, why? So I want you to imagine the three letters I, U, and Y. In that order. I, U, and Y. Because they are connected somehow, and I would say that the letter U is the connector between the two. So when you start saying E, the letter I, sound E in Norwegian, E. It's very difficult not to smile. You have to show your teeth, and your lips are opened horizontally. E. Now, when you go from E to U, you see that your lips are going together. You're not showing your teeth anymore. Your lips have a round shape. U. And now, when you want to say why, and you might want to ask me, why? Why do you pronounce it like that? You have to make a duck face. Well, not really a duck face, but if you can imagine a duck or duck face, then it makes it easier to remember how to pronounce E. So you're going from U, go from U, start with that. You're just making a round, and then you want your lips to open vertically, upwards and downwards. So not horizontally. You do not want to smile. It's very difficult to smile when you say E. But what you do want to show is the two front teeth on the top and on the bottom of your tooth rows, if that makes sense at all. So basically, imagine you're showing the 4 teeth that you have in the middle of your tooth rows. If that is hard, another thing you can try to do is that you take a pen and you try to keep it between your upper lips and the nose. You might not be able to do it, but the sound will be right, at least. So take the pen, place it on top of your upper lips, and try to hold it between the lips and the nose, and see what happens. E. It might seem a little bit weird in the beginning when you pronounce it because you're not used to having your lips in that position. It might feel super awkward. And of course, in the beginning, when you pronounce it, it will be very exaggerated. We don't do it that much. We don't open that much. It's much more subtle. And as for you and all the sounds that are new to you, a good thing is that when you learn how to pronounce it, being able to recognize that sound will also be easier. Even though the difference between Y and I in Norwegian is very, very subtle. E for I, E, and E for Y. I know it's super subtle, but you can hear it. Norwegians can hear it. And if you do not pronounce it right, you might say funny things like sikle instead of sykle. The first one means to drool, and the other one means to ride a bike. Of course, everybody understands what you wanted to say, but it's still funny. So yeah, it's important to master it because you don't want people to misunderstand what you want to say. So we're going to do all of the 3 vowels, going from E, then to U, and to E, and back and forth like that to practice. And then I'm going to give you some words to pronounce. Okay? So let's start with E. Then you round your lips. E. And then you open up. E. E. Let's start from the top. E. E. So now I'm going to isolate the sounds more. E. U. E. E. U. E. E. U. E. Okay, let's do some words now. Starting with long sound, long E. Eat. 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 If this was hard, know that you can always go back to E and take it from there. E. Eat. Eat. What is also important to notice is that if your tongue position is changing when you go from E to E, then you're doing it wrong. The tongue should be at the same place. Only your lips should change. The configuration of your lips only. Eat, eat, eat. Eat means, how do I translate that word? It's a word that can mean different things, but it can mean to put in some effort, to do a good job. It can also mean to provide or to contribute. Yeah, that's eat, eat. So two letters, but a lot of meanings. I'm going to give another word, and even though I know that the R might be difficult to pronounce for some, but if you master the R, let's do it. Ir. 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 The R could also be pronounced like a French R. Ir. Ir. Ir, if that's easier. Ir. Ir or ir means to be eager. It can also mean rain. And that's why the webpage ir is called ir, because it's a fun wordplay. Now let's do some examples where we don't start with E, but still a long E sound. B. 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 B means to bid, or it means city or town. She. 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 This means cloud, not sky, even though it's written the same way as sky. And if you pronounce it incorrectly, then you're saying ski. Or the English word ski. Okay, so that was with a long vowel. Let's now do some examples with a short vowel, starting with E. I'm doing my best to find short words. It's not always so easy, but I'll see what I can find. Yrke. 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 Yrke means profession. Yste. 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 Very, very handy word. You already know the word for cheese, I guess. Ost. Now, yste is the verb that we use when you make cheese. Not sure what it is in English. Yste. Let's move on to words not starting with I. This is a good one. Idyll. Idyll. So in the beginning you have an I, and in the end you have a Y. So you have both in one word. Idyll. Idyll. So idyll is a noun. It means something that is idyllic. An idyllic scene, maybe, would be a good translation. Or an idyllic situation. There is actually a well-known song called Idyll by Postgirobygge. If you search for Idyll and Norwegian song, you're probably going to find it. It's a very nice summer song. I like it a lot. Yeah, you should listen to it. Anyways, so that was idyll. And then the last word. Okay, the only one I could think of right now is fill. 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 So fill, depending on the context, could mean fill, to fill up something, or filling, or drunkenness. So many options. Okay, I hope that went well. If it was hard, do it again. Practice on your own and notice if there maybe are some words that are more difficult to say than others. If so, then it might be because E is not in the beginning. So then you might have to go back with that. Or maybe there are other sounds that you find difficult to pronounce. So that might also be something. And another thing to be aware of is that the difference between long and short vowel, long and short vowels might not be mastered right now. I will make an episode about that later. But one thing to be aware of is that the shorter vowels tend to open up a little bit, meaning that you don't, basically you open your mouth more when you have an open vowel, a short vowel compared to a long vowel. So this might influence how it sounds like. So when you hear people pronouncing short and long E, maybe you're better at recognizing one of them than the other. Probably the longer one will be the one that is the easiest to recognize. It's much clearer than the short one. But that will, of course, get better with practice. So, tack för idag. Lycka till. Good luck. Vi höres.